Today on this James the Bike Guy, we're checking out Trek's brand new do-it-all gravel bike. A bike that originally came out as a race bike and has slowly but surely gotten more and more capability. That's right, we're checking out the 2022 Trek Checkpoint SL6. And in this video, we're going to go into the features and designs of this bike, talk a bit about exactly what they changed for 2022, and then finally we'll find out what it actually weighs. So if this kind of thing is interesting to you, I suggest you stick around and let's check out this bike together. This is the second generation of the Checkpoint series from Trek. And originally when the Checkpoint came out, it was a very nice gravel bike to do a wide variety of things, but certainly focused more on the performance and kind of racier position of the bike. Designed around being able to be something that'll tackle dirty Kanza, but also still be able to carry some gear and have some fun. And for 2022, they've really updated the bike to continue to do some of those things, but also add some extra capability. Now, the version we're checking out here is going to be their SL6 version, which means this is their 500 series OCLV carbon fiber, but they also make it in their SLR version. And the SLR version is going to be a higher grade of carbon fiber and offers a few different things in the frame. Now, it's important to mention, Trek does have two other bikes on the different sides of this. So going more towards the CX level of racing, you'd be looking at the Trek Boon carbon bike. And then they also have their Domani series, which supports up to 38 millimeter tires, which almost bleeds into gravel. And what we're going to see on this SL version of the new bike is that SL 500 series OCLV carbon. It's going to get all internal cable routing, much like you were seeing in their aero bikes like the Madone and the competition bikes like the Boon. And up front, you're going to have a full carbon fiber fork going down to the front end. And new for this year is going to be the addition of frame storage. So in the down tube of the bike, this is going to open up and it gives a spot for you to put different gear in there. A neoprene bag comes with it on the inside. And in fact, it's pretty neat because you can see the carbon. And actually, as you look down there, you see that one piece of carbon that's there? That's because they're adding their rubberized carbon armor as well as two spots for a water bottle mount down on the down tube of the bike. Now, this door that covers the internal frame storage goes on and off pretty easy, just clicks into place, and then you can lock it down carrying your water bottle, and then you're also going to have another water bottle mount on the seat tube. But going along with the SL bike, mounts galore. Of course, there's frame mounts both underneath the top tube here, on the down tube, on the top of the top tube, as well as on the rear end of the bike and the fork too. So you can see in this image, there's a ton of different ways that you can combine frame storage and different gear that you might want to carry for an all-out adventure. Now, one thing that's definitely different for this year is going to be the 27.2 seat post. So if we look back to the previous generation, you'd see that came with their seat mast. And what a seat mast is basically the seat post goes on top of the frame. Now, they're keeping that on the SLR version, which is the race spec version of this bike, and it helps save some weight, keep the compliance going the way you might expect, and integrate the frame a bit better. But by adding this 27.2 seat post, this is a traditional setup. It's also routed to do internal cable routing for a dropper post. So you can finally run a dropper post on a Trek Checkpoint, which you weren't able to do in the past. The other thing that's going on in the back, you'll see this cut out on the frame. That's for an axle that goes through the frame for their IsoSpeed technology. Basically, the seat tube comes down all the way through, and it pivots on the top tube to seat tube junction. That allows the back end to have a little bit of flex going backwards, helps soften out the ride. And along with the change to the 27.2 seat post and the IsoSpeed, it's gone to a threaded bottom bracket. It's rocking the T47 threaded bottom bracket setup. That fits most of the modern crank styles. And then the other things to mention are going to be the geometry and tire clearance. So this bike is set up with about 2 centimeters of more front center room on the bike. The wheelbase has been extended for 2022, and to give more room in the front end of the bike gives a lot more space to be able to move around, be comfortable on a long ride. but you don't want the reach to get out of control. So we're looking at a size 61 centimeter here. We're matching up with a 100 millimeter stem, which is reasonably short. And in a size 52 or 54, it would have come with an 80 millimeter, which is super short. While it might be super short, they've added a whole ton of tire clearance. In fact, in both the front and the rear, they can now fit 700 by 45 millimeters, as well as you can run a 650B by 2.1 inches. Moving into the cockpit, we can see where this has been updated for 2022 with alloy components and a Bontrager gravel handlebar. So this gravel handlebar is going to feature some flares to it. So basically what that means is the bar flares out to the side. So when you're in the drops, your arm doesn't contact the curve of the top part of your bar. So as you go in, you can kind of be in that angle, all sorts of fit, be able to go onto the hoods of the bike, as well as have a nice fit with a short reach and a relatively short drop. The stem, like we talked about before, is much shorter for this year to help with that front center. It does have blender compatibility. And then moving to the back is the Bontrager Verse saddle mounted up on a Bontrager carbon fiber 27.2 seat post. This seat post is, of course, dropper compatible, so if you wanted to add one of those, you can do that with all internal cable routing. The drivetrain on this SL6 is going to be Sram's rival Axis. So Axis means that this is going to be a wireless drivetrain, and in fact, the one we're checking out here is going to be a wireless one-by. So that means it's got a single ring up front and then 12 speeds in the back. The 12 speed in the back is going through a 10 to 44 tooth 12-speed cassette. You've got your wireless rear derailleur, which goes through this flat top chain, which is kind of wild to look at, to a narrow wide 44 tooth front chainring mounted up on the SRAM rival front crankset. Now, the neat thing with this is that rear derailleur is going to shift all wirelessly all through the paddles that are up here on the hoods. So these shifters, right side is going to be going to harder gear. And then if you click the shift button on the left-hand side, that's going to bring you back to an easier gear. Now, these shifters are also going to control the brakes. It's a hydraulic 2-piston caliper, both on the front and the rear, matched up to 160 millimeter rotors. Wheels and tires on this rig are courtesy of Bontrager. These are the Bontrager Paradigm Comp 25 wheels. So that means they're 25 millimeter internal width, of course tubeless ready, going down to a 12 by 100 millimeter front through axle. And in the back, it's a 12 by 142 millimeter through axle with a rapid drive hub. The rapid drive hub has 54 teeth of engagement, which is a super fast engaging hub set, especially for a gravel bike, and it'll help you ratchet through some of the more technical terrain that you might get out on an adventure ride. And then these are tubeless ready, connected up to the GR1 Team Issue tire. The GR1 Team Issue is the faster rolling gravel tire. You can see it's got these small block designs, and I really love the tan wall tire combination going on to this Rage Red paint. The actual weight of the 2022 Trek Checkpoint SL6 in a size 61 comes out and weighs 20.06 pounds. Thanks for watching this video on the 2022 Trek Checkpoint SL6. Go ahead and let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. While you're at it, go ahead, hit that thumbs up button, and definitely hit subscribe if you enjoyed what you saw.